welcome to the Hallmarkies podcast. We are so excited today to be here to talk about the Spring Fling movies. This is very fun. They had a pretty good run, I think. And I'm film critic Rachel Wagner, and I'm joined today by two friends of the podcast. We have the returning guest, Thaddeus Foster is here. And Thaddeus, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. I had a lot of fun the last time I was on, so I'm really excited to come back.
Yeah, and Thaddeus is a patron of ours. So if you're interested, we have actually this next weekend, we have our big event with Mary Lou Henner coming up where she's doing a Q&A just for patrons. So if you're not signed up to be a patron, now's the time. Only $2 a month. And you can ask Mary Lou Henner anything that you want, which is pretty cool. So take like that. But that's not all we have today. We also have Jazzman Hester here. And Jasmine, this is your first time on the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jasmine. This is my first time. I have been listening to you guys' podcast for a while now. And, just interacting with all the Hallmarkies on Twitter. It's just amazing. I'm really excited to be my first time. Hopefully I'm not too nervous.
I think you'll do great. So
Yes.
what do you do for your job, and what got you first started watching Hallmark movies?
Let's see. Straight after college, I started working at a bowling alley before COVID hit. So I've been doing the bowling alley thing. So I've been having my little alley cat strike from Disney Channel moments here and there. I got the Hallmark about the end of 2018. I was just in one day just watching Hallmark and watching all like the Christmas movies. I'm like, I found my love. I feel like I graduated from Lifetime and moved myself over to the Hallmark universe, and I haven't left ever since.
What do you like so much about Hallmark movies?
I love how you can go from like big cities, to small town. I love how I love small. I keep telling my best friend, like, I just want a Hallmark life, a small town. My guy, I'm all set.
Yeah. I think we all want that. And we all want to live vicariously through Hallmark movies.
Yes.
Very good. Well, we're so excited to have you on. And thank you so much for coming on. And we're talking the Spring Fling movies. And it was kind of the last set that we got before COVID, before they had to kind of scramble to get us through to Christmas last year. How did you think this bunch as a group turned out? What do you think, Thaddeus?
So I will say first that there weren't any in this group that I really disliked, unlike the first two, sets of movies from this year. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so all of them I like to varying degrees. So I'd say so if you go by that, I'd say this has been the strongest section and that I haven't disliked any.
What about you, Jasmine? What do you think?
I actually kind of agree with Thaddeus, actually, because I know in some of the winter, I like this some here and there, but getting to like the Valentine, section, I was like, I'm not feeling this, but spring kind of saved the early 2021 situation of the movie so far.
Yeah, I'd agree. I liked all of them to varying degrees. There was one that was pretty disappointing we'll talk about, but I didn't hate it. So yeah, I think it was a pretty strong grouping of movies. So it gives me confidence coming up for summer nights that we'll continue to have good movies.
Yes,
for
I
the
agree.
next part. Yeah. So well, let's dive in. Let's talk about them. So the first one was on the 20th of March, and it was called Chasing Waterfalls. This is Cindy Busby, Christopher Russell, and writers Jason Bork, Tamara Junkin, and Christopher Wolf is our director. And the summary is photographer Amy travels to a remote lodge to find mythical waterfalls and falls for handsome guide Mark. They adventure to find the mystic waterfall and discover their true feelings. So, Jasmine, overall, what did you think of this movie?
It was just the scenery for me. I just 'Cause I'm literally an hour away from Yosemite. 'Cause I live here in Fresno, so it's like, going to different spots and just trying to, find those hidden treasures, I guess you can say.
What about you, Thaddeus? What do you think of this one overall?
So I would say that I enjoyed it. It was fine. I definitely say that it was better than any of like the I this is the most I like Cindy Busby since if you compare it to like the 2020 movies, and if you compared Love in the Forecast, which had both Cindy Busby and Christopher Russell, although I think they had better chemistry in Love in the Forecast.
Mm. Yeah,
That's
I
really
would
true.
say, yeah, I would say it is Cindy Busby's best movie in a long time. That probably, I mean, I guess I liked her Godwink movie fine. I enjoyed that. I probably about on the same level as I enjoyed this. But she had a little bit of a rough year with the acquisitions last
Oh,
year.
whew.
and, and so I thought this was definitely better than I expected. I think going into it for sure. I
Yeah,
forget
I'd
what I
say the
gave it in the
same.
preview.
I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. I mean, we get another Hallmark photographer. So that's always
Yes, that's one of their favorites. One of their
yeah.
favorite jobs.
Love photographers. Although the
And she
whole
was
premise,
better. She was a better photographer than in the Beverly Hills Wedding. At least her finger wasn't in the lens.
that's right. Yes. and we always say, Jasmine, that Hallmark loves, if they want to make a character like a creative type, they almost always go with photographer.
That is true.
It's Candace Cameron Bure in the Shoe movie, Amelia Ullerup in her one of hers is a photographer. Mara Patterson's been a photographers. And
I think we have to think of who hasn't been a
I
photographer
know.
yet.
Ooh, that is true.
Jill Wagner was basically a photographer. She was a journalist slash photographer. So yeah, it's a high paying career. Who knew, right? And so yeah, this whole premise is pretty bonkers of this movie. The idea that this mythical waterfall is within walking distance from this lodge and nobody has ever found it, or I guess nobody has ever talked about it. They needed a geo geocache to be able to figure out where it is. It seems a little crazy.
And I didn't understand why Christopher Russell was just like so against people figuring out that it was a real place and not just a myth. You'd think, you'd attract more people that would want to come see it. I mean, people still go to see Niagara Falls, and everybody knows that it's
Right.
real, and where it is. So I
So
didn't
I guess
really understand that.
he thought people were going to litter or something like that, but you have some control over that. I mean, if it's really that great,
You know
then
what? I understand that because majority of his movie he ever plays, Christopher, they always been like the wildlife preservator guy.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, last year with
The
the Nature
nature.
of Love.
Mm-hmm.
And also Love in the Forecast. He was like the farmer guy that wanted
Oh,
to
you're
like
right.
follow nature. He didn't believe in science, which was also
Right.
completely bonkers and made no sense.
Like
But
it's like you have those actors who are like, this is my go-to, like kind of like the actor who plays off of Lifetime holiday movies. He's always based in Alaska playing a different character. It makes no sense, but I'm like,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot with this movie, the little girl. I thought the little girl was so cute and so good.
yes.
She did a great job.
But that also brought up some questions because I wanted to know like what time of the year this was supposed to be because she was never in school. I mean, I
It's
know that
true.
she had virtual school, but that's what he said. But like, and there were other kids that were there that were like going to like this little kids fun time, and so I didn't know like when is this movie
Maybe she's
supposed to be taking
homeschooled.
place? Yeah,
And then I thought
Yeah.
they were playing off the pandemic too. Like, oh, she's going to virtual school right now, so she
yeah.
splits like half the time with me, half the time with her mom. Because I had a friend who took her kids up to Oregon in the mountains for a week in the cabin doing homeschool. I was like, any business.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I guess she must be homeschooled there at
I
the
guess.
cabin or something. I don't know. That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. But I thought the little girl was good. This is her she's done a number of Hallmark movies,
Mm.
including most recently in The Angel Tree.
There
Oh,
we go. Yes, I was like, I remember her face. I was like, she's from somewhere.
yeah, she definitely looked familiar, but now I can remember.
Yeah, and she was also in an episode when in the 2018 When Calls the Heart Christmas movie. She was in that. She was in Winter's Dream and Love Struck Cafe. She was in.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
She's a Hallmark pro.
yeah, she's going way back.
Yeah. But I thought that she helped a lot because I don't know, she was just so cute. And I thought that Cindy did a good job with her. And then
Mhm.
also Christopher like, it just made them more warm and more appealing. And I thought it really helped the movie a lot.
Right, and doesn't like Christopher Russell have a daughter about that same age in real life? So
I don't know
he
that it's a
seems
fact,
very
but
he
I,
seems
I know,
really natural with
I
her.
think that's right. I think he
Hmm.
does. I know he has children. I'm just not sure what the age is,
Mhm.
but so then you had Miranda Frigon as the other woman, and I feel like that is just her role. She always plays the other woman in
She
every
does the
movie.
thirsty thing really well in
Yeah.
these movies. I always buy it. I'm like, okay.
And I feel like she should get to be the lead one time because the poor
Yeah,
thing, she always is the second choice. And there was a little like kind of tween romance for her,
yeah.
which was cute. I like
Yeah, I
that.
was rooting for that. I was like over here, like really, I am rooting for Amy, I'm rooting for Mark, but I'm like, this little romance right here, let's root for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. This is really cute. And the whole sequence at the waterfalls, I thought was really well done. And I mean, that water, Christy told me in our interview with her that the water was just frigid cold. And it
Mhm.
definitely would have been. I forget when she said this was filmed, but that kind of mountain water is really cold.
Yeah,
So that they did a good job with that, and it just looked so beautiful. And
it
I
really
really,
did.
yeah,
Hmm.
I love open water swimming, and so the whole thing was beautiful to me. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that
But
that was definitely the star of the movie was the location and the scenery. We had a lot of good locations
yeah,
We did.
in this.
it's true. And so then the people at her magazine or whatever it was at the business, they use the geocache on the pictures that she sends to find the waterfall, the mythical waterfall. I mean, it's not very mythical if you can figure it out through something like that. Like,
Yeah, if it was
it,
mythical, like it wouldn't have worked. If
no,
this was,
yeah. I mean, and why he is so mad at her about this is kind of ridiculous because obviously, like, anybody could have done this,
Hmm.
but he's so betrayed. It's the betrayal.
I
yeah.
trusted you.
Yeah, he gets so upset. And what did you think of the whole scene with the bear? Did you think that was funny?
Oh my gosh. I don't remember doing this in real life, but I guess it's true. I just sat there laughing on my couch.
I mean, I would be I don't know. I would be completely freaked out. I would be a mess. I don't know. What do you think of that scene, Thaddeus? Did you think it was funny?
I thought it was funny, but and I've seen them do similar things in other movies too. So I guess maybe there is some truth to it.
Yeah, maybe. I have heard that. But then he takes her hiking and he has her blindfolded, which I think is a definite way to get your ankle twisted and sprained.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend hiking blindfold.
Oh, but he knows that area like the back of his hands. I'm sure he went through and got up any twigs or, he carefully guided her. Yeah.
They also do some karaoke in
Yes.
this.
Oh yeah.
And
What
mhm, I
Go
was
ahead.
pleasantly surprised with that performance. Although I will say, so I heard in another interview that Christopher Russell, like he usually plays either like was it a donkey or a lion in his
Uh-huh.
movies? Like he channels through an animal, and he looked like a lion. So I really wanted him to sing "If I Were the King of the Forest" from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that would have been funny.
So,
Hmm. Do you have a go-to karaoke song that you
me
do?
personally,
Yeah.
I like to do Nat King Cole songs.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
What about you, Jasmine?
I am definitely going 99 early 2000s karaoke moment of pop. Like, you're going to hear me singing like some Backstreet Boys, a little bit of Britney. Like, we're going to just go all in.
My go-to song is if they have it, to do Wide Open Spaces from Dixie Chicks. It's like right in my
Nice.
range. I know I can do it. I know the song. That's my go-to. But so then she makes everything right, and everything is okay, and they've fallen in love. They fall in love pretty fast.
Yeah, she fell madly in love with him pretty quickly. She
Yeah,
even said it to like her work friend, and I was a little surprised she said that, but
yeah,
you
because
know,
they've been moving away from the "I love yous" at the end of these kind of
I
Mm-hmm.
movies.
I think it's nice to kind of mix it in, because some people do fall in love really quickly. I think it's fine to have it every once in a while, but not like
Yeah,
every movie like they used to.
yeah. Yeah, and I was glad that they didn't use the song in this case because the song has nothing to do with anything in this movie, the Chasing
Yeah, no,
Waterfalls song.
not at
I
all.
kept thinking the first 5 minutes, like, this not even part of like the movie. But
Yeah.
I did have like this kind of like kiss a girl moment when they were in the boat and they had the beautiful background. I was like, just go ahead and kiss her already. Just
Yeah,
do it.
that was good. I was afraid that they were going to use the song and then it was going to be so cringeworthy because they used it in the advertising
Yeah,
and it was bad because the song is all about don't go chasing waterfalls and they're not talking about waterfalls.
yeah.
So that was a good choice. But how many crowns would you give this one, Jasmine, out of 5?
I will give it a. Can I do half crowns too?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's see. I want to at least do like a 3.5 crown. Like, I want to lean to 4 because like the scenery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's fair. What do you think that is?
I'm gonna give it an even 3.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I'm gonna give it a 3. It was enjoyable. I liked it again better than I thought I would. I'd watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, watching it a second time was fine. So I wasn't cringing the whole time I was watching it, rewatching it. So
yeah.
I was like, okay, it's 3 crowns.
So then we had next Don't Go Breaking My Heart. This was on the 27th. This is Talia Ricci, Ryan Pavey, Matthew James Dowden. It's from writer Nina Wyman, who we love, and director Terry Ingram, who was our winning director for the podcast awards. So
Mm.
that was
Nice.
exciting. And Miranda runs a boot camp for the recently brokenhearted. She begins to form a connection with new client Ben, who is also an undercover reporter, investigating whether her boot camp is a fad or a phenomenon. So, overall, Jasmine, what did you think of this one?
As I was sitting there watching it, like the first 5 minutes, I was like, I feel like I watched this before. A boot camp. Like what movie was it? And I thought about it. The Perfect Bride. I said here,
Mm-hmm.
this the perfect bride, but in like getting over an ex situation.
Right.
That I was
Yeah,
like, okay, it's a whole different take and go undercover. Because there are different
it's true.
fad diets out there, like a fad of broken heart groups. That was kind of interesting.
Mhm. Yeah, I liked it. I liked it better than another one I liked better than I expected. I think that they actually had pretty good chemistry between the two of them. And also I just thought it explored some of the harder parts about love in ways that were appropriate for a Hallmark movie. And that was refreshing to me. I enjoyed that. So I was pleased with this one. I thought it was one of the better movies that we've seen this year. What did you think, Thaddeus?
I agree. I think I really enjoyed the writing for it. I think that the two main characters were actually pretty well developed. It's definitely the most that I've liked Talia Ricci in in a Hallmark movie. I really enjoyed her character and her portrayal. But I did not think that this was the best fit for Ryan Pavey because I feel like the character was supposed to be this guy that was trying to act like he had it all together, but everybody could see that he didn't. And
Mhm.
Ryan Pavey comes across as so like poised and suave all the
Oh,
time
yeah.
that I didn't quite buy it when he's supposed to be kind of like a mess. And so when he would be saying he's okay, we weren't supposed to believe him, but I kind of did believe him. I feel like, what he really, I'm really surprised that he hasn't done yet is he hasn't done a royal movie. And I feel like he would be great in a royal movie if he
Yeah.
could get the, if he could get the, if he has the accent. But I did agree they had great chemistry. The kiss in the middle was probably the best kiss I've seen this year on Hallmark.
Yeah, and
And
even if he didn't have the accent, even because his voice has such a timbre to it that I think
yeah,
that it could
sure.
feel royal, even if he didn't try to do an accent. But I agree, he definitely could do a royal movie. I think that he came kind of close to it with the Darcy movies,
Yeah,
even
that
though it's
he
not
was
technically
basically a prince, and
royal.
it had like the
Yeah,
same beats as a royal
right.
movie,
Yeah.
but like he needs a royal movie.
Now this one had a lot of product placement for Noom. Did it make you want
Oh
to go out
yeah.
and get Noom?
I saw
Yeah.
that. I was like, I swear I saw that site before, and I kept seeing commercials. I'm like, that's where I saw it. What they're telling us.
Yeah. Yeah. And they have the what did you think of the different steps of the boot camp? There's the communications and there's the rope tests, there's the escape room.
Um,
Do you think that
I
that would
I
help you get over a
agree
breakup?
to a degree. I mean, it's about part of it's about kind of rebuilding your confidence in yourself, not blaming yourself, kind of learning, some communication skills for your next relationship and things like that. So and also kind of, closing the book by writing this letter, deciding whether to send it or burn it. Like, do you really need to send it to this person or are you just done and you just have that release for yourself? So I I definitely understood at least some of those steps. Yes.
Jasmine, you think this would help you get over a breakup?
Um, yes and no. Well, that kind of a little bit. It kind of like opened up as well, like those different steps, and also gave us an insight of those other characters that are in these groups. Because sometimes you're in a group, they only focus on that person who's initially in that group only, but you get to open up to other people and get to see their stories. Like how Helen is like her second time doing boot camp. Like the first time, it was bad. I'm here second time, ready to commit. And you kind of get to see like their stories about talking about fear, like why is fear not part of one of the weeks, where it's kind of like she's mastering that fear. But for me, I'm had to be on that Helen tip, like let me do this twice, and he'd be like the newscaster, like I want to burn this chair.
Yeah, I was like, don't burn the chair. Oh no. That
And
looked
I'm
nice.
surprised that was her favorite chair. That didn't look like a very comfortable chair.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Exactly.
I would be nervous about doing the trust fall with these people. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I would trust them.
Well, hopefully you'd have found like a friend or two that you did trust enough to do it with.
Hmm.
And I would be a little. I guess she is actually a therapist. She had a PhD, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you want to be careful that you aren't. I feel like there's a lot of people offering like life coaching and guidance and things like that. That like, do they really have the experience? Or like you have to be careful about kind of where you set your emotional health. I think. I think that all these people need therapy, real therapy.
Yeah.
Uh, I also thought the whole relationship with her ex was very weird. Was very weirdly done. I think that somebody like that they would take their ex to dinner to tell them that they were getting married. I feel like that's kind of a lot. I would just call. I mean, I would not expect my ex to take me to dinner to tell me that I'm getting remarried unless I had kids with them. Then I can understand it. But just, I mean, I don't know. I thought that was a little awkward.
It was. But at least that was supposed to be awkward to me, at least.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, because she was
Yeah.
dodging him like the plague. She like the old picture. after telling her clients, don't be stalking their Instagram, but you'll be there stalking your ex.
Yeah.
Like the old picture.
I do wish in this case, I actually wish they had used the song, the "Don't Go Breaking My Heart" song,
Oh, I
but they never did.
had Backstreet Boys in my mind when it was like "Don't Ruin My Heart." So I was her dancing. I was like, wait, stop, it's not it.
I preferred the old title, I have to admit. I preferred when
Yeah.
I would have preferred if it had just been Breakup Boot Camp, but
Yeah,
Mm.
I don't know why who knows why they changed the way they did, because I agree, I think that's better. But I don't know, I appreciated the dialogue. I thought Nina did a great job between the two of
yes.
them. The way that their characters grew and
Yeah.
changed through the course of the movie was pretty good, and I felt it felt authentic to me, and I just appreciated that it was willing to sort of dive into places that Hallmark hasn't ever done before.
Yeah, I
At least it's
agree.
been a long time since they've had anything involving a breakup or someone trying to get over a breakup, and I
Yeah,
thought that
usually they're
was
just completely over it right away if they
right.
are, if
Mhm.
there is one. And I also
Yeah.
like that they kinda did it was kinda equal time between the 2 of them. I think feel like they were real
Mhm.
co-leads in
That's
this
true.
one.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah. So his article gets published, and then she feels betrayed, but eventually she's able to forgive.
'Cause
And
when she after she actually reads the article before she just
Yeah.
she just heard that there was an article and, you know
because she says, "I would have done the PR. Why did you do this?" And I mean, I thought she kind of had a point that it's not like she's trying to hide anything.
Yeah.
But then yeah, she reads the article. So what would you give this one out of 5 crowns? What do you think, Thaddeus?
I would give it 3.75.
What do you think, Jasmine?
I would do a 3.9, but I'd have to add in that Ben was literally trying to take her out for pizza. Any chance he got, it didn't matter. I was like, he trying so hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Didn't he ask like 5 times throughout the movie about and it's pizza, just pizza. It must've been some good pizza.
Yeah, that's true.
Or like the
Yeah.
story he told Dex, like, "Oh, I'm taking her here, and then we're going up here to look over the city." I'm like,
And
he
playing out
looking
our
at.
lives. We're gonna look over the city and plan out our lives, yeah.
I give this one a 4. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty solid. So, have you got a Hallmarky, Hardy, Postable, or Sleuther in your life? Are you looking for the perfect gift for your loved one? Look no further than the Hallmarkies podcast merch store. We have designs from artists like Jessica Miller and Carrie at Hallmark Comics. We at the store you can declare your team, like hashtag Team Lucas or hashtag Team Nathan. And you can also have your hashtag shirts with hashtag postables, hashtag Hardies, hashtag goodies. We've got the Love Me Like series where you can get designs such as Love Me Like Nick Loves Aurora. And there's also great stories beyond Hallmark like Anne and Gilbert from Anne of Green Gables, or even Han and Leia from Star Wars. And it's not just shirts, but notebooks, mugs, pillows, and cell phone cases. Your support of the merch store helps keep the podcast going, and we are so appreciative. There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or follow the link in the description. That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies. Let's talk about One Perfect Wedding. And in this movie, we have our third in our one winter trilogy, and they're having a struggle of getting connected because they're always traveling. And so they decide to have the wedding, and they have it over a weekend. And then we also have Megan, who ends up planning their wedding for Kara and Ben. And Sean is gone, and they end up having the wedding after much tribulation. There's also this sort of backstory with the people who ran the inn, and kind of going there. I don't know what we had a whole episode about the One Winter trilogy, so I'll put that in the description. People can check it out. But this one for me was disappointing. I felt like their marriage was actually in a really weak spot to start off. This couple we've been invested in, now they're gonna go and spend all this time apart from each other, and they can barely make time to get married. And then I thought it was a mistake to have. I think they should have just waited until they could have had Duchesne there, and then he could have been there, because I don't think it really worked to do the virtual proposal. I don't know. I felt like it was a disappointing place to end our characters. I didn't hate it. I liked the people so much that it was okay, I guess, but it was disappointing. What do you think, Jasmine?
To be honest, I definitely agree with you, because when it came out during this time frame for Spring Fling, I'm like, this is not a Spring Fling movie. Like, this is like
Mm,
winter time. And originally the title was called One Winter Wedding. And I sat here like, why we're having it? I understand there's still snow, picking off some part of the spring, but I'm like, no, this feels out of place. Like the
and
character, like the actor for Sean should have been in the movie. It could have waited a little bit longer, like they did other movies. But like we should not be named. That came out last fall. That took 20 years. but but I'm just saying, like I feel like so much where they could have. I feel like the storyline could have been a little bit more better, where they could have tied it in where the mystery story about the hotel owners who maybe got married, who built the resort, who got married there, could tie in
yeah,
with their story. I think that would have been a lot better, or
yeah,
somehow a little more, like it could have been a lot better.
and also the whole thing of him keeping the secret of buying the inn, I didn't really make sense to me. Like, you're getting married, she's going to need to know if you're making this huge purchase. I don't know. I thought that was not the best.
Yeah, so for me, I agree. I really, really, really enjoyed the first two parts of this series. This one was okay, it was fine, but if you were to watch all three of them together, you would leave the third one feeling disappointed. And I agree that they should have waited until Duchesne was available to make this movie. I feel like that mystery subplot was probably added, when they realized that Duchesne wasn't available, so they couldn't do an actual story for Sean and Megan. That's my thought
Yeah.
behind that. And in this whole subplot of like, you know, Kara being suspicious and Ben like always having to keep these secrets just didn't really make sense. Like he hasn't been up to anything nefarious. He's been doing some silly things, but I don't understand why she's like so suspicious and making a big deal out of things. And him, if you know that your wife, well, future wife in this case, doesn't like surprises and secrets, just don't do it. It
Yeah.
was just so stupid to me. So I didn't really enjoy that. And the other thing that was really egregious was in the first movie, he says that he learned how to ski with his brother at the lodge. Now all of a sudden there's no brother and he has his sister. And I was really confused. So
So many
Yeah.
unanswered questions.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I mean, do they think we're stupid that we don't notice these things? I think they might.
I think we
especially
forgot to
because
watch the other movies before doing the third one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Bec I mean,
I mean,
most
I liked
people
that actress playing the sister. I thought that she
yeah,
was good, but you're right.
especially, a lot of people that really enjoyed the first 2, when the 3rd one comes out, you're gonna rewatch the first 2.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't the best, and I was kinda trying to finagle a way to make it work, like, maybe, we know that the father's dead. I was like, "Well, maybe, like, the father and the brother died in a car accident, and the sister's, like, much younger." So, that kinda would've worked with the story, but then they said the father got sick, so I was like, "Okay, they just didn't even try." So,
Yeah. Yeah, and then the whole thing with the wedding dress was kind of funny, but that they could get the dress that soon is highly unrealistic. But
yeah.
that she ended up wearing her mother's dress was sweet in the end, I think.
Yeah. Even though it was a bit of a surprise that the father is gonna bring the mother's dress with him, and she was supposed to like stitch in part of the dress, even though
Mhm.
she hadn't even gotten the dress, even though it just didn't make sense. But
Wow, we've left this movie with both of the couples feeling very shaky. Like I don't see these relationships working, which is such
I
a bummer.
Well, at least Sean and Megan, I kind of did because she was arranging to, work was going to keep her job and work virtually. She was going to go to Africa or wherever he was, and they were going to get married because they could only have their spouses for whatever reason there. So they were going to get married. She was going to stay with him and still keep her job. So at least they probably had a better shot than Ben and Kara. But
Hmm.
I totally
Just
agree.
spending all this time apart, and I
yeah,
don't know, it just feels it wasn't as romantic as it should have been. Because the last one was so romantic, I thought.
yeah,
But yeah, so this one I am going to give 2.75 crowns to. What about you, Thaddeus?
I'm going to give it 3.
Okay. And Jasmine?
I'm gonna give it a 3 because the only reason I gave it a 3 is because Megan's outfits were bomb the whole entire movie. That's the only reason that got to a 3 because it only was a 2.5. Megan's
Mm-hmm.
outfit saved the day. The hair saved the day. She saved the day.
Okay.
All right. Then we had As Luck Would Have It. And this is our story in Ireland. And this has Joanna Garcia Swisher and Alan Leach. And it's Claire Niederpum directing and writer Christine Conrad and Audrey Schulman. And it is Lindsay travels to Ireland to acquire land that is perfect for a resort. She decides to enter the town's world renowned matchmaking festival to prove her investment in the community and win over a handsome local. And so, Thaddeus, what do you think of this one overall?
So I thought that the scenery was absolutely beautiful. I really liked both leads. I thought that they had great chemistry. I think that Joanna Garcia is just perfect for Hallmark. She needs to be in like a bunch
Mm-hmm.
every year. Um, but the story I didn't really grab me. I felt like it was kind of slow in the pacing. I feel like I really enjoyed it the first time, but then the second time around, it was a little bit more of a chore to get through. So, but I will say still overall, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I basically have the same response. I liked their chemistry. I liked Ireland, but we had just recently done the one with Merritt Patterson and Jack Turner on friendship, so that was fresh in my mind, and it's almost exactly the same as this. But this wasn't as good as that, in my opinion, at least. And I actually fell asleep, and then I woke up and I had to rewind it because that middle part was pretty slow.
Yeah.
But I liked the two of them together, and I liked Ireland was very pretty. So
Hmm.
overall, what do you think, Jasmine, of this one?
I know. Actually, at first I was like, I'm not gonna like this. This looks weird. Like I feel like it should have been aired like right before St. Patrick's Day or some odd reason. But as I
Mm-hmm.
like started watching it, I was like, wow, like I actually would want to do like a festival like this. Like sign me up. Let me meet the people from around the world. Let's the scenery
Mm-hmm.
was gorgeous. Like the architecture of everything. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand. Like the small town, feel like preservation of like different like castles and buildings. I'm like, I'm down for it.
Yeah, I mean that was definitely the strength of it,
Yeah.
and you see Joanna Garcia with her beautiful blue. What am I saying? Beautiful green dress. She looked great, and you have him being pretty bratty to start out the movie,
Yeah.
with him putting
And
salt in her bread and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I didn't really understand it because, the it was up to the town council to decide whether she got that property. So,
Mm,
I mean, it's not like they're in or at least at the beginning of the movie, they weren't making it seem like they had to sell. And so I didn't understand why he was just so upset with her that she was going to make an offer to the council. Um, but I really just couldn't get on board with this. Oh, we're going to tear down this 700-year-old castle. It just,
yeah,
didn't.
that seemed ridiculous. Why on earth? I mean, you could use that for so many things. The idea they're going to tear it down for a what, a golf course or something? I mean, it's
It was going to
ridiculous.
be a resort. I was waiting for them to say condos. I was just waiting for them to say condos.
Yeah. It
Because
reminded
then,
me of
she's people.
that one with um the what was it called?
I think.
With Peter Porte.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
They
yes.
that was
I
so
forgot what that one was
disappointing too.
called.
And they're just like, we're gonna tear down that castle for a golf course. Like, what? Who would do that? That's crazy. So yeah, then they have the whole thing with the clattering,
Mhm.
which was fun. I enjoyed that. And then yeah,
Oh, I was gonna say
go
one
ahead.
nice touch that I thought was kinda interesting was, she wanted to go see her grandmother's childhood home because her grandmother was from Ireland,
Hmm.
and it wasn't there. And I was sure I don't think Hallmark usually does that where it's just not there and you just have to have that moment where you're like, she used to live here even and I'm connected to this
Hmm.
place even though the physical house isn't there. I actually like
Yeah,
that moment for them.
that was good. And I liked the sort of lore of Ireland being used, the magic of the cliffs of Moher. That was fun. I didn't
It
know any.
definitely
I've
made
never
me
heard
wanna
anything
go
like that.
this movie definitely made me want to go to see Ireland, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then I literally I laughed because she was talking about how like what stories do you tell, like, what kind of mythical like stories like about mermaids, stuff like that. I just bust out laughing. I was like, once upon a time, I already know, Ariel, I already know.
Yeah, well, I love the films by a director named Tom Moore. There's the animated films, and they're all steeped in Irish lore. And so I'd actually, in one of his movies, Song of the Sea, he goes into the Cliffs of Moher and the mythology there. So I'd actually heard of some of this before, and the whole myth of the Silky and everything like that. Those are such great movies. You should check them out. But yeah, that was fun for me. I also enjoyed the dancing. I thought that was a very good scene when they were dancing.
I love
And
her comeback from that. She, she like he was surprised. I was like, I know some stuff. Like he didn't know
yeah,
that she's part Irish. It was kind of like she had like a one up above him after their first encounter.
yeah, yeah, that was good. So, what would you give this one to five crowns? What do you think, Jasmine?
Mm, I want to say a 3.5 because I love how they were kind of playing off like the preserving, but at the same time she learned about her history within the castle, within her own family. I really thought that she had ties to the castle. I was really upset with Homer. I'm like, give her ties to the castle, damn it.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Yeah, I
What
would
do
have liked
you?
that too.
Yeah, what do you think, Thaddeus?
Um, I'm gonna I'm gonna say 3.25 because on the first watch it was 3.5, but then the second watch it was just 3. So 3.25.
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.5. I'd be willing to give it another watch, even though it did make me fall asleep.
And that middle part did kind of drag, but
Yeah,
you
it
know.
did. All right. So then we had right in front of me, this was this last weekend, and it's Janelle Parrish and Marco Gazzini, directed by Linda Lisa Hayter and written by Julie Sherman Wolfe. And it is Carly gets a second chance at romance with her college crush, but isn't sure how to impress him until her new friend Nick starts giving her advice. Soon she learns who the right man for her really is. And this one's an interesting one for me because I feel like if I told the plot, people would be like, that sounds really, really generic and not very good. And they wouldn't be wrong. Like, this is not like a new plot. But I love this movie. I thought it was so good. I really liked the chemistry, and I really liked the fact that Anthony Connecty was the other guy. He was very swoon worthy in it, and it just wasn't a match, but there was nothing wrong with him.
Mhm.
And he was great, I thought, and I loved all the food, and that was very escapist. I thought, I don't know, I just enjoyed it. What did you think, Jasmine, about this one?
This one I would say is like one of my favorites out of the whole Spring Fling. Like I was really hesitant at first. I'm like, I don't know about this, and I didn't get like enough like info about like about like boy meets girl or have that crush situation. But as I kept watching, I'm like, wow, like I love this movie. Like,
Yeah.
and plus it's like the first, I guess, 'cause everybody was tweeting about it like about that last night. Like, guys, we just got our first like two like Filipino leads, guys. I'm like, oh crap, we just did.
And not just Filipino leads, but like they let the culture come out, like in all the
Yes.
food and in more than. So it wasn't just them being leads and then being in a white movie. Like they let the culture show, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote down the food that they makes this long date section where he's cooking for her, and the Anthony connected. He's like, "I'm not that adventurous of an eater," and he makes and excuse me in advance for saying things wrong. I apologize, but tortang talonga cakes, and this is eggplant crab cakes topped with bagoong tomatoes. And then they had quinoa bites. This is tuna ceviche stuffed with taro chips with cilantro. And tinola dumplings, chicken and ginger filled with a pickled trio side. And then glazed chicken adobo, fried rice in a banana leaf. What do you think? Do you think Thaddeus, that sounds like a meal you'd like, or no?
So this movie definitely made me want to check out Filipino food. I've never
Yeah.
had Filipino food. I was intrigued. I wanted it, and I really enjoyed this movie as well for like a lot of the reasons that you said. I always tend to enjoy like the friends to lovers stories.
Hmm.
I'm able to usually really identify with her character about like she was in college, but she was kind of focused on her work. So, those people that she didn't really get to become as close with them.
Mhm.
I also really enjoyed liked how they handled the whole situation with her and Anthony Konechny and Brandy Alexander as like his ex. And you could kind of see like when they were in scenes together, when all three of them were in scenes together, he would kind of always have his attention kind of divided between the two of them. So you could kind of tell that he was torn, but he was, trying to focus more on Janelle Parrish's character. So I thought that was really interesting. I enjoyed this
Yeah.
movie.
I mean, I would be annoyed if I were her friend she'd come to visit and then she's spending all this time helping people out with their wedding and spending time with this guy. But she seemed cool with it, so I guess it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised that her friend wasn't involved in any of the wedding stuff because she also went to school with all of them. So, and she
Yeah,
works and she's managing the hotel. Maybe she was just busy managing the hotel, so she was just glad that she had something to do to entertain herself while she's working. Um,
yeah. Yeah, I thought that it was nice to have sort of fresh take on second chance romance because it wasn't really second chance romance. It was like a second chance romance, but then actually it was Nick who was the love interest. So
yeah,
it was
you know,
good.
but it was interesting in that you could actually see what the second chance would look like. It would be the reverse, and Brandy Alexander's character would have been the protagonist, and she would have
Hmm.
seen those two kind of getting together and trying to build up the courage to kind of, I guess, um, go back and have the second chance romance. So it was so I liked it from that way because nobody was painted as like a bad person. They were all nice um, people who some were right for one, it wasn't right for the other. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. What do you think, Jasmine? Would you want to eat this meal?
Actually, I would because I love food. Like I love trying different food, like more than once. I love Filipino food. 'Cause I used to grow up in the Bay Area, so I was exposed to different cultures. From Filipino food, Hispanic, like a different type of food. So it would just, I sat there like, just give me all the food, okay?
Hmm.
Give me the Filipino empanadas. Let me taste it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the same. I mean, I do have my limits. I'm not eating blue, which is the fertilized duck eggs of the fermented fertilized duck eggs in Filipino food. I'm not eating that. But everything that they had in this meal, I think I'd be a fan of. It looked good, and it was cute that he gave her the dessert because she says that she likes to eat dessert at home, and she's
With the
got that
small
cute
fork.
yeah with the little fork, and then later on he names his restaurant Little Fork.
Yeah, I
A
like that
tiny
too. That was a
fork.
nice shot.
Tiny fork. Yeah, that was
Like,
cute.
the logo was super cute, and when I saw her like get the little fork, I was like, "Look, guys, it's a mini needle hopper." It just like took me back.
Yeah, yeah, too. And I did think that it was kind of weird the whole thing with her being allergic to sesames, because if you're allergic to sesames, like you don't just like she just had like a weird kind of line on her neck. Like it wasn't even like I'm surprised they didn't have her like need an EpiPen or something. I guess that's getting too dark for a Hallmark, but that is not an accurate depiction of someone that an allergy with a sesame allergy, I don't think.
And it was weird. She said she breaks out in hive, just
Yeah.
hive, not hives with an S. And she only did have one spot, so
Yeah,
I guess she
she
knew what she
did.
was talking about. It was just a hive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because someone had posted it online about like about like the I guess the sesame seeds, like the breakout. I forgot what it was called, but you
Hmm.
can't have like a small breakout and stuff like that, or it can be deadly depending on like your your system and everything.
Yeah, but I do agree with her. I'm a big fan of anything with a skewer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's gonna be good.
Like I love how like he remembers all the little things, like just like skewers, like little small fork. Like it was just like
Hmm.
that was a guy after my own heart. Like if you can remember those small little details like that, okay, you're really the one.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved the movie Mermaids when
Oh yeah.
that's Cher's thing in there, and she only cooks appetizers. Like that's the way to live. So, what do you think of her dress that she designs? This black dress. Did you like it?
So for me, I didn't know. I thought that it was a faux pas to wear black dresses to weddings.
Me too.
Yeah, and I just didn't like it. It was not a very flattering dress, in my opinion.
Like it was cute, but not for the wedding.
I thought
Yeah,
it was
I just
nice for
didn't
like
like the.
a
Yeah,
cocktail banquet or something,
Hmm.
but not for a wedding,
it
personally.
just with that sheer overlay is what I didn't really like very much. And I don't know, she's just so beautiful. It wasn't my favorite dress, but yeah, I really liked the whole dynamic between Anthony Connecty, her, and uh, Marco Gazzini, who is so dreamy. He's great.
Mm.
I hope
So
he does lots more Hallmark movies.
I think he should. I mean, he was like the when I first noticed him was in the Story of Us, where his and Zibby Allen's kind of secondary romance upstaged the main romance to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I thought the whole scene with her eating the wings was really funny. It was
Oh
really
my
cute.
goodness,
yes,
that was
yeah,
a hilarious. Like they were literally sweating. They literally were choking. Give us
I,
the milk.
yes.
She's like,
Reminded
I
me
got
of
this.
yeah, reminded me of my father one time when he went to one of those places with the really hot wings. He had to like sign this waiver before he could try them and things like that. It's kind of funny.
Because I would be the ones with the milk. I can't handle very much heat at all. So,
And I
well,
also okay, yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. So I was like the other thing I really liked was kind of the running gag with like the chef and how Marco Grazzini was trying to like try all these different things at the restaurant. He should have been
Yeah.
fired, to be honest. He really should have been fired. So, but that's what he needed to kind of get him going to start his own restaurant and not,
Mm-hmm.
worry about what other people thought.
I'm familiar with that busboy though. It will be the busboy.
Yeah.
I think he got paid though. I'm like, really, busboy? Unless you're trying to be a chef. That's the only reason that you could like out me if you're trying to be a chef and move up. That's the only
Yeah,
way.
Yeah. Chef Edward was kind of the worst.
yeah. But it was
He
funny to me.
was awful. But yeah. So I would give this one, I'm going to give it 4.25. It's my
Oh
favorite of
wow.
the group. Yeah, my favorite of the group. What about you, Thaddeus?
I'm gonna give it 3.5, and this was my number two behind Don't Go
Hmm.
Breaking My Heart. I really
Yeah,
enjoyed this one.
they were my favorite too.
I liked
Jasmine,
it
what about
more the
you?
second time
This
around.
will be a 4.5.
Oh wow. Y'all
Like
really like
literally,
this
like
one.
literally, like this was like literally like the top favorite out of the whole bunch
Okay.
I thought it was
for me.
really good. And like I said, if I were to explain the plot, there's not, I couldn't really defend it, but I just
It was
thought that
well
it was
executed.
executed so well. I loved the script, and I thought that the chemistry was really good. And I just loved the fact that they made Anthony Connecty's character so likable. You don't usually get to see that in these. And I hope that he keeps doing Hallmark movies because he had a bit of a gap there. He was in a bunch in 2018, and then we haven't seen him for a little
And
while.
he'd been in LA, so maybe he's back
Yeah.
in Canada now. So he can do
So
some
keep
more
being in more
Hallmark.
movies, Anthony Connecty.
Yeah,
And
and
maybe they'll give him a lead eventually.
Yeah. Because he
yeah,
was in Home
And
for
Brandy
Christmas
Alexander,
Day.
she needs a lead too.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I would love to see one with her as the lead because she's
And
great.
Jamie Calica. Her and Jamie Calica.
Yeah, I loved the interview that we had with Claire Philpott. I thought that was really fun. So
Yeah.
I was rooting for her, especially because she told us that she hated wearing that wedding dress. So every time I saw her, I was laughing. Poor thing. But there we go. This was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it and talk about these movies. Let us know if you're listening what your favorites were and what you would give all of these movies. And Thaddeus, how can people find you?
You should become patrons of the Hallmarkies podcast. You
Yes.
can find me on the Facebook group.
Yes, please do. And like I said, we have our big Q&A with Mary Lou Henner coming up. So that's going to be an incredible opportunity. Only $2 a month to participate. So, but all that information's in the description. Jasmine, how about you? How can people follow you?
let's see. You can follow me on my main at Shareem16. That's usually where I'm at half the time. Either, posting out what movies are coming out or what I'm watching. Right now, I'm doing countdown to, ACMs right now. So, I'm gearing up.
Yeah, it's really good Twitter feed. Y'all should definitely follow. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. So please check that out. And make sure you're following the podcast on Hallmarkies Pod and Hallmarkies Podcast, all over social media. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We really, really, really need those. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We have our Patreon group, as we said, and we also have our merch store, which has tons of fun Hallmark inspired designs. So please take a look at that. And thanks again, everybody. And we will talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.